Brilliant ideas, powered by Hyundai Motor.
The contemporary art world is vibrant and booming as never before. It's a 21st century phenomenon, a global industry in its own right. Brilliant Ideas looks at the artists at the heart of this. They have a unique power to inspire, astonish, provoke, and shock. In this programme, we meet the mad and brilliant Heri Dono. Working across performance, painting, sculpture and installation, Heri Dono is a master of satire, using humour to drive home a deeper political message.
His work begins with that attractive appeal and then draws you in to engage with this other issue that he's concerned about.
Artfully combining Javanese tradition with contemporary styles, Heri Dono is in every way unique.
Heri Dono's work is very innovative in the way that he mixes popular culture and idioms from Indonesian culture, and I think that does have a really broad appeal with international audiences.
And he is arguably one of the most important and socially relevant artists from Southeast Asia.
He is one of the really most fantastic storytellers, and he's a person who thinks a lot about humanity. He lays it in front of you, and it's up to you to reflect.
If I didn't make any art, I think I'd suffer. Art is like my necessity in life.
With his flip-flops, t-shirt and jeans, you probably wouldn't think that the man on the bike is one of Indonesia's most famous artists. Based here in the historical town of Jakarta, just southeast of Jakarta, Heri Dono is not one to let success get to his head. He's even named his studio Failure, literally.
Welcome to my studio. The name of the studio is Studio Kalahan. The meaning of Studio Kalahan, we never success, it means we are failed. You know, like the studio of failed. We try to collect a lot of failure, a lot of unperfectness, and this is a blessing for our creation. And I will show you inside of the studio.
Heri's studio may look like a toy museum at first. His works may appear harmless and humorous, but a closer look would reveal razor-sharp social and political critique.
The work is a mirror of his personality. He is a very, very humble guy. He's one of the most charming persons I ever met, who is very sensitive what is going on also in this world. We have military interventions, we have corruption, we have environmental catastrophes, etc. And all that, at the end, you see then in these very funny paintings by Heri Dono.
Sometimes in cartoon or caricature, they have a common message, not only about jokes, but deeper, to give consciousness to people about something. As human beings, we have three different levels of character of people. The first level is the people who are still questioning about life. The second level, the people who discuss about that life. And the third level, the people who already laugh about how stupid we are. So when we make humor, actually we knows what happened, because we cannot laugh if we don't know anything. You know? So humor is very important. I think Charlie Chaplin knows that.
Heri was born in Jakarta in 1960. As a child, he was surrounded by violence of all sorts.
Every morning, while we eat the porridge, we read the newspaper, Postkota, with a lot of criminal and like very sadistic, you know, people killed. That questioned me why I didn't grow up when I eat porridge. And when I moved to Jakarta, I explore this, like the dead heart, from my experience myself. That's why I put my painting with pistol and knife for the healing process about how to become human. Because in Jakarta, sometimes if someone died in the front of you, so everyone just busy with their business.
He told me once, if I would have grown up in Bali, probably I would do art which is very mythical and whatever, very spiritual. But I grew up close to Jakarta. I grew up there where the politics happened, where also all the military actions happened, where a lot of crimes happen in Indonesia. And that's the world which I grew up, and that's the world also which made me think about.
Heri's own father was a freedom fighter. In the mid-1960s, President Sukarno, who led Indonesia to independence in 1945, was removed from power by his own general, Suharto, after a year of unrest. Heri and his parents opposed Suharto's new order, an oppressive and bloody regime that lasted for 32 years.
His father used to be a personal guard of President Sukarno. His father was military, and then when the regimes changed into a new order, his father lost his job. So, in a way, this influenced the way Heri thinks politically.
My father was scared about me because my work is very political, and but I never involve my parents in my activities because this is the art expression. For me, art is not only to explore the aesthetic, but also to give consciousness to people about humanity.
Heri grew up under Suharto's reign, which lasted until 1998. Art for Heri was a means to express his criticism. And in 1992, he created one of his best works. Fermentation of the Mind, a biting critique of Indonesia's education system. It was exhibited around the world, except in Indonesia.
I never exhibit in the exhibition in Indonesia before 1998. Before 1998, is not allowed to exhibit because political. This is my experience when I was a student. I tried to make a message that our mind already fermented by the ideology. It's only chanting. We have no creation. We have no future to develop ourselves.
He's since created a new version of the work, an update of sorts, to reflect a more contemporary problem.
This is fermentation of no's. This time, people freely to get their individual expression. The problem today, they got a lot of very weak information from internet, and they think this is right.
His works are reflective of their time and the situation he's facing, the state and conditions of the world, the situation in Indonesia. It's almost as if it's a long story. If you look from the earlier works through to the present, then you're looking at a theatre that has many chapters in a way, and that's still continuing.
Coming up, we explore the weird and wonderful world of Indonesian wayang and its influence on Heri's work. Heri Dono is best known internationally for his unique brand of humorous, intelligent, and politically incisive works. In Jakarta, his studio mirrors his curious mind, filled to the rafters with books and various knickknacks.
This is like my office. Yeah, I like my mother, we like to read book very quick, and then we forget after that. But the good, we have experience to read that book.
Heri draws inspiration from his childhood loves, comic books and cartoons. But it is traditional Javanese culture, especially Javanese wayang theatre, that has influenced him the most.
When I was in art school, I met Sukasman, a puppet master. He lived in Europe for 10 years, and his work rejected by traditional artists in Jakarta because he got influenced by Art Nouveau, and he used Indonesian language for his performance. And he put Western philosophy, like existentialism.
Heri Dono is an interesting case when it comes to tradition, because actually he was born and raised in Jakarta. It was when he came to study in Jakarta that he first came into contact with those traditional Javanese forms, which are a big part of life here in Jogja. In some ways, those traditional elements for Heri Dono are quite exotic. And he had the opportunity to work with a well-known wayang puppeteer who was also working with really innovative forms in wayang at the time. So I think that really gave him the opportunity to realise how those kind of traditional forms could be used to express contemporary ideas.
I studied visual art from Sukasman because in the puppet, the neck is slide like this. And then the body, the hand, the arms is longer than the legs. You know, if they make normal like human being, we cannot see the movement of puppet. You know. I saw in the puppet really connected in the form as caricature. You know. And caricature also can make social political issue.
Heri Dono was one of the earlier contemporary artists to incorporate performance in this manner. His works have that theatrical feel to it. But then, and sometimes it's quite fantastical even, but then it's not overly dramatic. It's like a personal theatre for a few people only. And that draws you in, that intimacy of that theatre to engage with his story, his tale, and therefore also his concerns.
I find Heri Dono's work really intriguing, especially the kinetic works that move, and they remind me of childhood playfulness, really. His studio is called Kalahan, so his work is okay with losing. It's okay with making things crash and clash. And often his works that are kinetic make quite a cacophony, but it really draws you into the installation.
One of Heri's best-known installations is Flying Angels. The series was first made in 1996, during Suharto's reign, before he was ousted in 1998.
After 1998, I can make this work freely because no suppressor anymore. And these angels actually symbol of every individual has their symbol of freedom. The Flying Angels actually influenced by Flash Gordon's story. Before Neil Armstrong arrived on the moon, the story of Flash Gordon already exists, you know, who talk about the people who live in planet Mars, more further than the moon. And the idea actually always going forward, you know. Our inspiration never static. They always think about the future, and nobody can stop that our ideas. So angels is a symbol of inspiration.
And I noticed that you put a lot of penises.
Yes, genital. So the genital concept actually starts from, you know, the concept of Lingga Yoni. This is from our culture that we have the statue of fertility that a long time ago, people see this as a very sacred. They think this is like pornography, but actually this is no connection with that, because it's like a children when they make drawing on the wall, like this is male and this is female, you know, like that. But in the history of modern art, very often they use a woman as object of beauty. I think it's more fair if also the male can show in the figures.
He's not afraid to go into territory that can be quite obscene and vulgar, and I think that it's quite endearing sometimes how you can be staring at a work and not notice until the very end. At the very end of looking at them, I realised that actually that they all had genitals and no pants on. So he tucks these little social commentaries into works in a very subtle kind of way.
His artworks bring across a very important point in that in Southeast Asia, often we think of culture as something that's traditional, something of our past. We don't think of it as a practice that is continuing in the present. And what Heri Dono's work then does quite powerfully is to remind us not to make that assumption.
Sometimes they have a stigma. If you use the traditional form, you become traditional artist. This terminology is not right, because the important of the art is about the message itself. The form can use traditional form, but the message may be about something actual today, you know.
After the break, Heri travels to Singapore for his residency and treats us to an exclusive wayang performance. Heri Dono's art has earned universal acclaim for its unusual mix of comic book language with Heri's own Javanese traditions. His works are in demand all over the world. In 2015, he represented Indonesia at the Venice Biennale with Trocomod, his half-Komodo dragon and half-Trojan horse sculpture. It's his take on Indonesia's colonial past and his own way of asserting his country's historical and cultural significance to the world.
It's good to go outside of Indonesia and see clearly what happened in Indonesia. And then my work, when I make dialogue or friendship with other artists from all over the world, I can put this context in the international way. People more understand the meaning.
Heri's now been invited to Singapore for a residency at the Singapore Tyler Print Institute, or STPI.
Basically, as a STPI, we like to create the opportunities for the artists to explore and experiment with the materials that they have not worked with. And looking at Heri's work, his mission is the same. So that was the kind of big reason for him to be here, exploring the possibilities together.
Here at STPI, Heri's experimenting with different mediums, from paper mache to using traditional Javanese batik as his canvas. He's also learning how to etch in ways he's never done before.
So Heri drew on the copper plate at the first stage. You can see all these lines drawn by him. Now this stage is that for Heri to do a spray paint on top of it in order to create the tones, which is very difficult to predict. So it's like an experiment, do it and see it, find out what's gonna happen.
And try to collect a lot of mistakes as a blessing. The successful always come from mistake.
You are absolutely right.
Thank you.
Just let it down. This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's very good. Heri.
Back in Jakarta, Heri continues to work overtime on his never-ending cycle of projects.
Here, I have 7 people who work at my studio. Actually, everyone are welcome to come here as a guest, or also if we can share.
Even though Heri has craftsmen to assist him, he still believes in doing most of the work himself.
I don't want to be brag. Well, my assistant works only until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After that, I have to work. But of course, nobody knows because I work until midnight. The works need the soul, not only industrial production. Because this is fine art. Yeah, fine art means you need to touch the work. Yeah? You need to really know the message you want to tell people. But in my studio, we are in the same level. You know? We are friends. You know? There is no boss and people who work, you know? Not like that. Because we explore freely from mistakes, from failure, from like unperfectness. This is important to explore the works.
Heri has his own wayang theatre in his studio, and he's offered to perform for us. Heri's performances are usually about old folk tales. This one, though, is a spontaneous one, about nothing at all.
And I see that you have your studio assistants here to play the music.
Yes, they are become musicians today. So they can be a performance artist. We are not a professional as a musician or puppeteer, but we explore from zero and try to develop after that.
Pada waktu yang bersamaan datanglah. Apa ini? Para raksasa memasuki alam sakral.
I think every artist need to conscious that become agent of change. Even it's only small things. Like in Africa, many people use music for give consciousness to people about freedom. The good art need provocative works.
I think that an artist and an artwork becomes important in a particular time because of how it connects. Not just with people, but also in terms of resonating with the sorts of situations we're facing. And these are elements that Heri Dono brings into his artwork.
I have commitment that I never retire. As long as I have life, art for me is like a stable food. If I didn't make any art, I think I suffer. Art is like my necessity in life.